The FBI is the most sophisticated law enforcement agency in the world, pursuing the most dangerous criminals. In Washington, D.C., when a suburban mother disappears into the night,
Brian and his wife had gone out Friday night, and the last he had seen her was about 11:30 that night.
the Bureau mobilizes.
When you don't have any eyewitnesses, it creates certain challenges.
You run down every detail that you can. You leave no stone unturned.
FBI, criminal pursuit. December 13th, 2003. It's 3:30 in the morning in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. A suburb less than half an hour from the FBI's headquarters in Washington, D.C. Dispatchers get a 911 call from a man who says his wife is missing.
Can I help you?
Yes, ma'am. My wife left out here tonight about 11:30 to run to the store, which is on the corner, and she is still not back.
You want to report her missing?
Yes.
When police arrive at the home, the distraught husband, 36-year-old Brian Wilson, retraces the couple's evening.
I fell asleep right here on the couch. I don't know how long I was asleep.
On the night of Friday, December 12th, he and his wife had a date night. His wife, Inga Wilson, had dropped the children off at her aunt's house.
And they went out to dinner and a movie. Once they got back to the house, Inga decided that she wanted to go out and get some candy.
31-year-old Inga plans to go just up the street. But her husband never sees her again.
He went in the house and he fell asleep, woke up a couple hours later and realized that she wasn't home. He called on the cell phone looking for her, but never found her.
Inga, sweetie, where are you? You should have been back by now. Give me a call when you get this message.
Inga Wilson is the mother of 2 boys, ages 9 and 3. There's no way she would disappear in the middle of the night. Brian is panicked and begins searching for his wife.
He gets up, he gets dressed, gets his car keys, and he sets about looking for her.
The closest gas station is less than 5 minutes away.
At the entrance to the community is a Shell gas station with a convenience store. He figures that that's where she was heading to go get the candy.
But the store clerk hasn't seen anyone matching Inga's description. Brian begins driving around the neighborhood, looking for any signs of his wife.
He drives around the community looking for her, doesn't see her. He's calling her cell phone back to the house, see if she's back yet, and then he repeats the loop.
Inga is nowhere to be found. Brian calls her family to see if they've heard from her.
Yeah, I'm looking for Inga.
Inga's aunt, Helen Furlow, is one of her closest relatives.
Inga is one of my favorite nieces out of all. She's just a people person. The girl had it going on.
She is shocked to hear from Brian so late at night.
Oh my God. Just a phone call, 2-something in the morning. Her husband called me and said, "Have you seen Inga?" He said that he haven't seen or heard from her. I said, oh my God.
But neither Aunt Helen nor any other family member has heard a word from Inga.
So naturally, the family's really getting word then.
Brian calls his own relatives for support. Then contacts the police.
Wilson.
Who's your wife?
Inga Wilson, I-N-G-A,
She black or white?
black,
How old is she?
31.
When the first officer arrives at the house, Wilson's mother is actually at the house with him, waiting with him as he's looking for his wife.
Police issue a bulletin for Inga Wilson and her missing vehicle. All Brian can do now is wait. Less than 12 hours later, a man walking in northeast Washington, D.C., more than 15 miles from the Wilson home, sees something disturbing.
The gentleman was walking down the street here when he noticed the vehicle sitting over here, and it looked like someone was in it.
He takes a closer look and realizes that she wasn't asleep. And in fact, that she had appeared to be suffering from gunshot wounds to the head and was dead. And calls 911.
D.C. Emergency 911 dispatch 55. Can I help you?
Yes, ma'am. It's a car across the street from the house with a body in it.
Police rush to the 3000 block of Adams Street. There, they find a green SUV with a dead woman inside.
Initially, the detective didn't have anything to really go on because we had to get her identified. Once we got her address and kind of an idea who she was, it turns out she had been missing since the night before.
The victim is identified as Inga Wilson.
Inga was in the passenger seat. The vehicle was facing in this direction. She was seat belted in the seat, and the vehicle was just parked here. It was not running, the vehicle was off, and the doors were closed.
There's blood pooled underneath her and also on the armrest to her left. Her glasses had been blown off of her face. I remember the frames were in the passenger side map pocket.
Inga Wilson had been shot a total of 4 times.
Yeah. In an SUV with gunshots through the head. And the blue eye, it was very devastating. Very devastating.
Because the crime took place inside the D.C. city limits, police can call upon the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world, the FBI.
Now, what's unique about the District of Columbia is that the laws are so written that the FBI actually legally have concurrent jurisdiction with the police. So legally, the FBI could work a local sexual assault or a local rape or a local murder.
Brad Garrett is one of the FBI's most storied agents. He's known as Dr. Death for his uncanny ability to solve difficult murder cases.
I've got a PhD in criminology, and I was also a profiler. A lot of these cases that I worked, they tended not to come to me unless people were stuck.
He's struck by the savage nature of the murder.
She was shot at close range. It would appear they were shot from the driver's side to the passenger side where she was found. The killer was determined for her to die in that car.
The crime scene is rich with clues about how Inga Wilson was killed.
Got 2 shell casings in the back.
And the best we could tell, she had been shot here at this location. The window was shattered, and if you had driven anywhere with the window like that, it would have fallen out.
Police notice how eerily calm the body looks.
There were a lot of things that were unusual about the crime scene. For starters, you had someone seatbelted in a car who clearly didn't see it coming.
Didn't appear that there was any type of struggle that occurred inside of the vehicle. Clothes were not in disarray.
It told me it was somebody that she knew, somebody she probably felt comfortable with in the car with her.
A quick search finds what appears to be drug paraphernalia behind the vehicle.
There were several empty little zips, Ziploc bags, that are typically used to package street-level amounts of drugs, like dime bags of crack cocaine.
Could Inga have been buying drugs instead of candy? Police are even more curious about what's missing from the crime scene.
There was no weapon found on the scene. We knew that a .380 was used in the homicide to kill Inga because we had .380 shell casing.
But that's not all the killer took.
There were no keys in the ignition. So whoever had done this had seen fit to take the car keys with them when they left. Her cell phone was gone.
Inga's family is notified of her death. The news devastates everyone, including her children.
Oh my God, my sister, everybody in the family was calling one another. The baby boy, he was still young, he didn't understand. All he knew his mother went to heaven.
Inga's husband, Brian, has the gruesome task of identifying his wife's body.
Once the detective made contact with Brian Wilson, he was the one that eventually identified her. He was going through a very emotional time there.
We were all out there. The family was out there bringing food and just consoling, consoling him.
A canvass of the neighborhood where Inga's body was found fails to turn up any witnesses to the murder. It's clear that the FBI has its work cut out for them.
When you don't have any forensics, you don't have any eyewitnesses, it creates certain challenges.
And there's one critical piece of information everyone wants to know.
The big question on everybody's mind is, who was the driver? Right? Who took the keys?
December 2003. 12 hours after being reported missing, 31-year-old Inga Wilson, a mother of two, has been found shot to death in her SUV in northeast Washington, D.C.
She was shot all on the left side of her head. She wasn't looking at the weapon when it was fired at her.
There's anger, there's rage. They were also determined the person be dead when they left.
No one can imagine who would want to kill this well-liked working mother.
Inga appeared to be trying to make her way in life in a professional way. She had children, she was working, she was steady at work.
We come down to her and her husband. They were the perfect couple. You see them walk out the house, oh my God. Go to church, everybody was talking about them.
Investigators continue to interview Inga's husband, Brian. He adds a curious detail to his remembrance about their date night. He says that Inga had a habit of enjoying candy after she and her husband made love. On the night she was murdered, he explains, their cupboards were bare, so she dropped Brian off before venturing back out.
She liked to have candy after sex, and there wasn't any in the house, and she left to go get candy.
That meant that Inga, who had a sweet tooth, would go to the convenience store around the corner from their home and get some candy.
Inga obviously planned to return home, but never did. Authorities are full of questions about what happened, but their instincts tell them this was not a random shooting.
What was this? Was this a carjacking gone bad? Was this a robbery? Was it a hit? And the fact that you had a woman who was with some jewelry on would seem to maybe rule out at least the robbery idea, right? The fact that the keys were missing would seem to rule out the carjacking. Why would a carjacker take the keys but not the car?
Shell casings back here.
Shell casings reveal Inga was shot with a .380 handgun. Investigators also find a suspicious drug baggie behind her car. Could Inga actually have gone out to buy cocaine instead of candy? Could she have been killed in a drug deal gone wrong? Right now, it's all speculation.
You have to sit down and figure out what you do have and what you don't have. Didn't have any witnesses. We didn't have a weapon.
Investigators catch a break when a father and son come forward saying they saw a green SUV parked on Adams Street the night Inga was killed.
There are some witnesses that allege they saw two people in this vehicle in the dark, thought one was male, thought one was female, thought they might be arguing but weren't really sure.
The windows on the vehicle were tinted. That's why the witnesses that we spoke to, the man and his son, were not able to give us a very detailed description of the person that they saw inside of the vehicle.
The witnesses can't ID anyone in the car or describe who was in the driver's seat. a hopeful clue turns into a dead end. Investigators change their focus from possible witnesses to recent arrests. And a surprise suspect emerges.
We were trying to figure out who could have done this. There was a kid that was arrested in Northeast D.C. a short time after the murder who was arrested with a .380 handgun.
Knowing the handgun that killed Inga was a .380, police asked the kid if he knows anything about the murder.
It would be common to ask arrestees in drug and gun cases if they know anything about any violent crime that's happened in the area where they were arrested recently. And he claims to know something about it.
Police are stunned. They want to know exactly how he's connected to Inga's death.
Maybe he was responsible for it and trying to put it on someone else, or maybe he knew who was responsible for it because he had seen it or had been with them and it was a robbery or it wasn't a failed attempt at a carjacking.
Police hurry to find out if the gun is a match to the shell casings found in Inga's SUV.
We had the .380 that he was caught with sent to the firearms section of MPD to compare it against the cartridge casings that were found in the car to see if this was the gun. It was not.
It turns out the young suspect was bluffing, hoping he could help police solve Inga's murder and gain leniency on his own charges. Back at square one, investigators and Agent Garrett take a different tack and dig deeper into the lives of the Wilson family.
You want to know, obviously, as much as you can about their relationship. Money, jealousy, other people involved in their relationship.
We had to look into her private life, what kind of things that she was doing.
In the early 1990s, Inga met Brian Wilson, and the two hit it off.
Tall, handsome guy. Very quiet, though. He's the type of guy, he'd pray for you and everything. They just did everything together. Very handsome and attractive couple.
They were married in 1992, and 2 years later had their first son. Another child followed several years later. Brian worked as a U.S. postal worker. Inga was a manager at a bank. Both were active in their church.
Excited about wearing a dress to church today?
He was a deacon, she was a missionary, so they did a lot of work in the church.
But everything wasn't rosy in Inga's life. Family members tell investigators that friends were often jealous of Inga.
Her girlfriend, they act like they were for her, but I didn't think that all of them really were. Because of the jealousy, the girl had it all. If you went to her home, you see the car that she was driving. I mean, the job that she held.
Where are my boys?
She had one enemy in particular, Brian's ex-girlfriend, the mother of his first 2 children.
She didn't like Inga. We knew that. She would just pop up anytime and making a scene throughout the neighborhood, you know, just making it hard for her.
There was a history of bad blood. There were times when one sought a restraining order against another.
Brian was awarded custody of his ex's children. And the 2 sons lived with him, Inga, and their 2 boys. A sore point with Brian's ex.
I'm just here to get back what's mine. Are you crazy? No, I'm not crazy, Inga.
She didn't care for Inga caring for her kids, and that was a source of many problems with them. Inga would complain about the way it appeared the biological mother was turning the kids against her.
Tensions escalated to the point that Inga became fearful of Brian's ex.
Someone come in house to your house and they want to say loud outbursts, you know, and it's so embarrassing, number one. And don't know what they would do, you know, number 2, I mean, yeah, it's very fearful to your family as well as yourself.
Could Brian's ex-girlfriend have taken her jealousy to the next level?
Thought the girl, of course, did, you know, because she was threatened her enough, so we thought she'd done it.
It's been just days since 31-year-old Inga Wilson was murdered. And the FBI and Washington, D.C. police are hunting for her killer. Suspicions point to the ex-girlfriend of Inga's husband, Brian. She was jealous of Inga and was fighting with Brian to regain custody of their kids.
Her and the ex did not get along at all. It appeared they had problems from the very beginning. They had gone to court involving Inga and the children and Brian's ex.
Could Brian's ex have murdered Inga in a rage?
But we had to look at her. We had to talk to her about her involvement with Inga, the situation with the kids.
Investigators arrange an interview with the ex-girlfriend. But it turns out she has an alibi for the night Inga was killed. And an alibi that appears to be true.
We figured out where she was at the time of the murders. We were able to rule her out.
With Inga's sole enemy ruled out, Agent Garrett turns his attention to the person closest to her, her husband, Brian.
You start in these cases with significant others in a person's life, and you immediately or not eliminate them from a case. In this particular situation, we clearly could not eliminate him. In fact, it went the other direction.
Investigators dig deeper and confirm that Brian doesn't own a gun and didn't have access to one when Inga was shot. But they do discover that Brian has been hiding a troubling secret. The church-going postal worker is not the faithful spouse he claims to be.
We found out that he was having a relationship with a woman at the post office. So we actually went to the post office, myself and one or two other detectives, and we literally interviewed everyone.
Brian's co-workers tell police he's been seeing a new mail carrier named Renee Benjamin. Investigators quickly bring Renee in for questioning and are riveted by the story she begins to tell.
Met Brian at work. He was one of the letter carriers with me. We just met, spoke in passing initially, and then he eventually introduced himself to me.
Renee, a single mom, had started working for the post office less than a year earlier. She was instantly drawn to Brian.
Nice guy, nice, big, pretty smile, friendly, seemed to get along with everybody at work.
Brian would help on her mail routes, and the two would take walks in the park.
We started hanging out more and seeing each other more, and eventually it did become serious. He was a charmer. I mean, he just said all the right things. He just seemed to care, care a lot.
Brian kept his secret life hidden from everyone, especially his family and Inga.
She had faith in Brian, too. It never entered my mind. I said, nah, he loved her too much.
Renee claims that he also kept his marriage a secret from her.
I didn't see a wedding ring, and he didn't mention it. It was easy for him to be able to keep it from me.
Why you let these people lie to you? Stay away from me, Brian.
According to Renee, it was a co-worker who eventually revealed the truth.
No!
I found out that he was married, and I told him we couldn't see each other anymore. He didn't take it well, and work became very uncomfortable.
Renee tells police that Brian wouldn't take no for an answer.
He would come out on my route and, talk to me, and, there were times when I would get up to go to work and he would be outside my door.
She claims she eventually agreed to be his friend as long as he stopped hassling her.
So eventually we did start talking again on the phone and just conversating, nothing like we were before. that's when he started telling me that he was unhappy, you know, in his marriage.
Hey, Renee, how are you?
Hey, Brian, what's up?
The family got into a bad car accident.
Renee tells investigators that Brian called her 1 week before Inga's murder with terrible news.
He said that his wife and the 2 youngest ones were in a car accident.
Yeah, the boys are okay, but Inga's doing pretty bad. She's not doing too well.
She had been in a serious car wreck. He was not with her, and that she was in the hospital in a coma. They didn't know she was going to live.
Brian's story became more and more tragic.
Said his wife had pretty serious injuries and said, well, I'm on my way to D.C. to the hospital because we're going to pull the plug tonight.
Hey, Brian, what's up?
Renee says the next time she heard from
Hey,
Brian
Renee, how are you?
was on Friday night, December 12th, the night Inga was killed. She claims she was at a party when he told her that Inga had died at the hospital.
Yeah. I want to know if you can come by and pick me up. I'm in D.C.
Brian Wilson calls Renee again, and he says, can you come pick me up? I'm in D.C., just walking around trying to clear my head because supposedly they took his wife off life support that night.
I told him I couldn't come pick him up.
I can't, Brian. Just call me and let me know how you are, okay?
I really need you.
Renee insists that it's not until she returned to work on Monday that she found out how Inga really died.
One of my coworkers pulled me to the side and was like, she had heard that she had been killed. Somebody had shot her. I called my mother and I was like, Mom, can you do me a favor? Can you check to see in the paper if you see an article about a Inga Wilson that had passed away or had been killed? And so she went and she got it and she read the article to me. And I couldn't believe it. It was like it wasn't real.
Renee isn't the only one who's shocked. Her story seems plausible, but if she's telling the truth, it means that Brian Wilson has been weaving a complex web of lies.
Great marriage.
And if authorities can't corroborate her story, they have to ask whether she too is hiding something. Two months after the murder of Inga Wilson, the FBI and D.C. Metro Police have just learned that her husband, Brian, lied to his ex-lover, Renee Benjamin, about how his wife really died.
Bye.
According to Renee, Brian concocted a strange story about his wife dying in a car accident. Now, authorities need to find out whether Renee is telling the truth, or if she too is keeping secrets.
She came forward and she told everything that she knew. As with everything, we had to check out Renee's story.
Authorities interview co-workers of Brian and Renee to see what they know.
One possible hypothesis could be, did she pick him up? Was she in on it somehow? Or what role, did she play a role?
Over the months, police continue interrogating Renee, drilling her for information about everything that happened on the night Inga was murdered.
Hey, Brian, what's up?
Renee gives them as many details as she can remember about the phone conversations between her and Brian.
Renee Benjamin says that he called her between 12 and 1 in the morning and asked her for a ride home, and that she declined.
I want to know if you can come by and pick me up. I'm in D.C.
I can't, Brian. Just call me and let me know how you are, okay?
But when investigators question Brian Wilson, he denies being in D.C. the night Inga was killed. He insists that he was miles away in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, looking for his wife. And he denies ever talking with his former mistress, Renee Benjamin.
We asked him specifically a couple of times, were you in D.C. or near D.C.? And he said no.
Is Brian telling the truth? Or is Renee? Authorities summoned both of their cell phone records. The records reveal that Brian Wilson used his phone just once during the time he was supposedly driving around searching for his wife.
They showed that at 12:51, he'd made a 51 or 52-second outgoing call to check his voicemail.
Talk to you later.
According to the records,
Bye.
Brian never called Renee.
We'd, poured over phone records. We couldn't find the record or the evidence of that phone call.
Investigators press Brian for answers, but he clams up.
His story was starting to fall apart. And the thing was, when we interviewed him on these things and confront him with some of the stuff we knew, he would just stop talking. He wouldn't talk at all.
Investigators are stumped. It's now been more than a year since Inga was brutally murdered. And they suspect Brian knows more than he's letting on. But nothing connects him to the crime scene.
We didn't have an eyewitness to the murder. We didn't have a gun. We didn't have access by Wilson to a gun.
At different times, this case kind of stalled. We got up against brick walls and we wondered what move we'd make next. I'm sorry, Lieutenant Inga.
Then, the case gets a lucky break.
We got a call in the office one day where the person said that they were at a party.
Give me the gun, man. It's a party, man. Just relax, man. I have the gun.
And they heard Brian having an argument in the back room, and he was telling Brian that he wanted his gun back.
I'm gonna give you a gun, man.
I need the gun now.
I'm gonna get you.
I need the gun now, man.
Did Brian have access to a gun after all? Police do some digging and turn up something interesting. The man Brian was overheard arguing with at the party was a good friend. Police question that friend and learn something very important.
And we were able to talk to him for quite a while until he finally let us know that he did give Brian Wilson a .380 handgun.
380 shell casings were found next to Inga's body. And the friend suspects that Brian used his gun to kill her. Police believe this new informant can connect Brian to the murder weapon. But they know that the source's word alone is not good enough. They ask him to wear a wire and talk to Brian about his wife's murder.
He's told, we'd like to get Brian Wilson on tape, acknowledging from you that he got the gun, and really we'd like to find the gun.
Sitting in a remote location, Special Agent Garrett watches as Brian Wilson gets into the informant's car. The secretly recorded video shows Brian talking about the gun with his upset friend.
Brian, what the you do with the gun? Tracy. Man, what you do with the gun? What you do with it? I've been through it. I threw it away. Where? In the river, man. It's gone.
So what happens here is that the source becomes so angry and he hits Brian in the face with his fist.
On tape, Brian Wilson denies killing Inga.
We talking about English, huh? Brian, come on, man. You want me to believe you ain't do that? Tracy. At first, man, I wanted to believe you ain't me, Joe. I would never with you like that, man.
But with the admission that he even had a gun, he cemented himself as the prime suspect in his wife's death.
That was the first time in the investigation that we had that kind of solid proof that this man had a gun in his possession in close proximity to the time of the murder.
If investigators can find the gun, their case is airtight. But if they can't, Brian Wilson may walk a free man.
Was there sufficient evidence to charge him?
2005. Brian Wilson has confessed on tape that he had a friend's gun in his possession when his 31-year-old wife, Inga, was shot to death.
tell you, man. Ryan, what the you do with the gun? Tracy. Man, what you do with the gun? What you do with it? I've been through it. I threw it away. Where? In the river, man. It's gone.
Now, the FBI and Washington, D.C. police strongly suspect that he is responsible for the murder of his own wife.
They kept putting him closer and closer as each week passed with him committing this homicide.
Police immediately checked Maryland's Patuxent River near Upper Marlboro, hoping to find the gun Brian said he disposed of.
One of the problems is you can't just go search a river. It's just virtually impossible.
There was a pond right behind this house that we went back and searched. We didn't come up with the gun.
Without that gun, investigators know it's imperative that they place Brian near the scene of the crime. Once again, they try to find proof that Brian called Renee Benjamin on the night Inga was murdered. Everything else with Renee's story has proven to be true. So why hasn't this one detail?
It was one of the biggest head scratchers in the case. Why can't we find that phone record?
Cell phone records do reveal that Brian is lying about at least one thing.
Once he turned that cell phone on, it searched for a cell tower, and it found one right where Inga was murdered.
Brian has insisted that he was not in D.C. the night of his wife's murder. But his phone proves that's not true. Investigators sense that they're close and question Renee one more time. Finally, they realize why they can't find record of Brian's call to her that evening.
Said, well, they used a two-way Nextel, however it was, the two-way calling, like the walkie-talkie version of it, so it didn't show up in the phone records.
The technology was one step ahead of police.
It's kind of like one of those mind-blowing moments. And so we try to get the records of those walkie-talkie connections.
The phone company no longer has the two-way records for Brian Wilson. But they do have direct connect records for Renee Benjamin.
Lo and behold, we see that I think at around 12:56 a.m. on Saturday, December 13th, there are two direct connects with Brian Wilson's cell phone. And it was just one of those, aha moments in the case.
It corroborated Renee's story about Brian both texting her and calling her during that time period. It allowed us to show, first of all, that he was in the proximity of Inga's car, and that he had called, in fact, Renee to come pick him up that night.
The evidence is the last piece of the puzzle. In September 2005, nearly 2 years after Inga's killing, authorities arrest Brian Wilson. He is charged with the first-degree murder of his wife. Inga's family is stunned that Brian has been charged with the heartless crime.
I mean, it was so devastating. Never suspected him, never. He played his role real good.
Hey, Helen. Yeah, this is Brian.
But I never forget something the detective said. They said a lot of time, you're looking the person right in the eye and don't realize it.
In May 2007, Brian Wilson goes on trial for the murder of his wife. The prosecution's case is built largely around circumstantial evidence.
We didn't have one big brick. We didn't have an eyewitness to the murder. But as time wore on, we were able to collect brick after brick after brick. The foundation for the wall, if you will, was Renee Benjamin and her account.
Prosecutors detail everything they've gathered, including cell phone records and the videotaped admission that Brian had a gun at the time of the murder. But the most compelling testimony comes from his former lover, Renee Benjamin.
I kind of glanced over there at him, but we didn't make any eye contact. He was just kind of looking off somewhere else. Just the whole process was draining for me emotionally, to have to keep going back, answering questions, and just reliving those feelings and my thoughts about my experience with Brian.
Authorities break down what they think really happened that night.
Brian and his wife did go out to dinner and movie. On the way back, somehow he convinced her to ride into D.C.
Parked the car in the 3000 block of Adams Street, which is a quiet street, but is also near a club scene in Northeast D.C., and killed her. And then called Renee Benjamin for a ride home. She didn't come get him.
Someone gave him a ride back to Upper Marlboro. Once he got back there, then he called the relatives, called the cell phone, and told everybody that he's been looking for his wife and can't find her. Have they seen her?
Brian Wilson refuses to take the stand. The prosecution can't prove with certainty why he murdered his wife, but suggests that he viewed her as standing in his way.
She was an obstacle to him living the life I think that he wanted to live with Renee Benjamin. And it would seem that he took it out on her.
She just doesn't matter because she's not of any use to him at that point. And so I'll just get rid of her so I don't have to deal with her in my next relationship.
The drug paraphernalia found at the scene could never be traced to Inga Wilson.
They weren't related to the circumstances that led to Miss Wilson's demise. No indication in her background that she was a drug user.
After 1 week, the jury returns a guilty verdict. Brian Wilson is later sentenced to 66 years in federal prison.
To die the way she died, it was just unforgivable. For someone to even spend time in jail, it's not enough.
And to think back to that night, and I wouldn't have known, just in his voice, talking to him, that he had just done something like that. It's just mind-boggling to me.